Okay. Mayuresh Joshi has also joined us. Anand, do stay on. Mayuresh, the couple of numbers that came over the weekend, are you a buyer in Grih Finance and IndusInd Bank?
Morning, Lata. I think, as Anand was mentioning, I think IndusInd Bank, strong set of numbers across cycles. So when the CV cycle was weak, I think good set of numbers. When it's improving, good set of numbers. And when it's declining, again, a good set of numbers coming through. Asset quality, no issues on that front. Credit costs contained at 14 bips. You're seeing NIMs maintained at that range between 3.9 and 4%. 4% for this quarter gone by. So largely, again, I think the premium valuations that IndusInd Bank derives, I think it will continue to derive those valuations. So largely, again, I think it's a clear hold. In spite of it trading at 3.2 times price to book FY18 earnings. On Grih Finance specifically, I think getting the management out as well, I think the LAP portion is a key cause of concern for most house financiers. But largely, I think if you're looking at this space itself, I think anybody into the retail finance space and the retail housing finance space, I think that is where I think the pressures will not come through, at least in the next few quarters. Valuations have become expensive. The cost of funds have started coming down, and that will get passed on over the next few quarters. But again, I think the NIMs and spread should get maintained, and that leverage should play on the balance sheet in exhibiting strong earnings growth in excess of 20%. So stocks like LIC Finance, Housing Finance are expensive at this point of time. But again, I think investors holding on to the stock should clearly hold on if they have bought it at lower levels.
Okay, well, for now, the Nifty is adjusted to a 0.5% cut, so down almost about 37 points. And stocks like ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, Infosys could be under pressure. Mayuresh, hi, good morning. On TCS itself, you know, ever since the company came out with that earnings warning, the stock has actually fallen 15% from the highs in August. Do you think a lot of the bad news is in the price, or do you see more stock underperformance or a stock fall post the earnings?
Morning, Sonia. Again, I think largely for the sector itself, the demand environment in terms of discretionary spending looks a little tepid, with a few projects either getting postponed or a few projects getting cancelled. Secondly, if you look at the pricing environment, the pricing pressures will continue on a whole host of companies, whether from the top tier or the mid-tier IT names. And again, I think the cross-currency headwinds with the GBP actually depreciating 8% will have an effect on their EBIT margins as well. So largely, I think TCS, with the kind of profit warning that it is given and the kind of cross-currency headwind that we perceive, the EBIT margins will get curtailed. But largely, again, I think for the sector as a whole, including TCS, I think the management commentary on the demand environment will hold key. The BFSI exposure of almost 40% and the kind of discretionary spending cuts, if one assumes that probably to come through, I think that will have a say in terms of how the earnings estimates come through. And the commentary itself is a little bit weak. My own sense is that the earnings estimates that a lot of analysts have still pegged in of around 150 odd rupees for TCS FY18, around 72 rupees for Infosys FY18. Those earnings estimates can actually come down. So the long-term story remains very, very compelling, though these near-term macroeconomic headwinds might have some amount of downgrades on these stocks. So I think wait for the results, let the results come through. I think expecting weak set numbers to come through, no margin expansion because of all these factors. But management commentary will hold key. So hold on, wait for numbers, and then probably take a call onto this.
Okay. Anand, good morning. You said not too much move for index as a whole, but this is a market where we've seen so much mid-cap outperformance even year to date. And the mid-cap index is just within 1% of new all-time highs. Do you think that story continues? You still keep finding new mid-caps and sector rotation continues, or even the mid-caps are vulnerable now?
Well, if there is an overall downward move, then of course the mid-caps are vulnerable. More importantly, if there is a reduction in liquidity for whatever reason, and that could come from outside India rather than within the country perhaps, then certainly you'll have a problem with mid-caps. But barring that, I think performance-wise, you'll find that the broader market will continue to likely do better than the frontline companies because of the valuation gap in many of the smaller companies. Also, I think a lot of companies have started doing restructuring of various kinds, and many of them are now spinning off businesses and so on, which overall tends to add value to shareholders. So if you look at that kind of trend, I think you'll always find a few opportunities where you could be making outsized gains.
All right, Anand, pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining us with your thoughts this morning. We'll quickly run through some of the F&O strategies as well. Manoj Muralidharan of Religare Securities has joined us. Morning, Manoj. Your Nifty trade now?
Good morning, Lata. Lata, I guess Nifty is trading in this range of 87 to 8800. It's been almost 7 days, and if you see the quantum of shorting or long positions is not much, hardly 0.1 to 1%. Now, today we have a gap down opening, possible 35 odd point, but then I feel the support for the Nifty would come somewhere close to an 8620. So the strategy here is try and sell Nifty once you get the level of 8700 to 8720. The stop loss should be an 8790, and we're expecting 120 more points on the downside. 8,600 should be the target for the Nifty, at least in the short term.
Okay, and in terms of individual stocks, what would your trades be?
We like Titan. This is one stock where we have seen good buying, and we believe this is one sector where there is money coming in terms of delivery buying, so a follow-up buying can come in. So we recommend buying Titan futures. 403 is where we recommend buying there with a stop loss of, let's say, 394 and a target of 430. Now Tata Steel is a stock. If you see, the stock has given a good movement from 368 to almost a 420 odd, but then I feel this is one level where there is some profit booking which has come in. Even last trade, if you see, the stock has moved up, and we have not really seen much of derivative built up. Rather, there is some distribution, at least in that side. So we expect a 16 to 18% correction, if you may say that. So a strategy here is sell it close to 420, maybe a stop loss of 428, and we expect a target of 400 to 402 on that.
Okay, 1 minute left for market opening. Ashwini, your top conviction market call now?
See, IRB Infra is a sell with a stop of 246 and a target of 232.
Okay, and a word on the Nifty also, because a lot of these trades do work out in the first 5 or 10 minutes. The pre-open is indicating 8670, the SGX is indicating worse than that. If we open at 8670, do you still straight away short it?
See, given the last 3 days of extreme narrow range, today opening with this sort of a gap, you should try to sell into the Nifty at the open.
Okay, we've just got about 20 seconds for the markets to open, so let's just bide and check how the markets will take the 2 days of selling that we have seen in global markets, or at least one big day of selling. As well, not very positive cues for India, even when the global tailwinds were positive in the previous week. Okay, we start 0.4 lower, quickly about 0.5%, 0.6, 8655, fast approaching 8650. 8650 has held for now. 8655 was the low we have touched. Now 8660 is the fulcrum over which the markets are dancing. Now coming closer to 8650, so this looks like an eerie start to the market. On entirely expected lines, you will have to say 8650 now, and it doesn't look like the speed with which we have approached that number, it doesn't look like that number is going to hold. 27,900, okay, there comes 8649 as well. So even 8650, if that was such an important level, has not held, but as Sudarshan has been saying, even if it opened at 8660, he is not very confident of levels holding, and Ashwini has been warning of this for some time now. 8648 as we speak. So clearly 8650 has been taken. A bunch of stocks that are not doing well: Hindalco, Reliance, Tata Motors, DVR, Bharti Airtel, Bharti Infratel, GAIL, Lupin, Adani Ports, Aurobindo, BPCL, Tata Motors, and all these are heavyweights. HDFC, all of them down over 1%, 1 to 2%. Tata Motors DVR is taking it on the chin. It was one of the best gainers and still one of the most favored stocks, but profit taking is coming with such ferocity that even Tata Motors and its DVR, a favored set of securities, have not been spared this morning. They're in fact the biggest losers. Gainers, to be fair, IndusInd Bank and Cipla. Cipla the biggest gainer because of positive reports coming on its plans from the US drug authorities. As well, IndusInd Bank for a steady set of numbers under adverse conditions, not affected by downturns. So IndusInd Bank gets a thumbs up. HCL Tech, Infosys, actually the IT stocks, Tech Mahindra included, are staying in the green. You can't say that of TCS just yet. There is a little more nervousness on that stock, but the other IT stocks are in the green. TCS down about 1%. Not a good start at all for the Bank Nifty. That one is down 0.8. But quickly, the mid-caps. Today, the underperformers are the heavies.
Oh, yes, definitely. And even the mid-cap index has not opened up well, down less than 0.5%. The advanced decline ratio is quite weak, actually. Almost 800 stocks on the declining side this morning. So that just gives you a sense about which way the trend is headed. In fact, if you look at individual stocks, you have lots of stocks under pressure. Blue Dart is down post its weak numbers, but apart from that, banking stocks like Union Bank is down almost about 2%. You have a lot of these stocks like Dish TV, which have been great performers up until now, coming in for profit taking. Real estate stocks like DLF, etc., under pressure. Metal stocks like SAIL are down almost 2%. So not looking good at all, the opening tick.
Yeah, not looking good at all. But I just want to make a point. I tried to allude that in the morning as well. Let's pull out both TCS and Infosys. I think you saw quite a bit of delivery-based buying in Infosys on Monday. And I think TCS has opened 1.5% lower, and Infosys has opened, in the green. And Infosys made a 52-week low and bounced back. Has Infosys bounced before TCS and because it was punished way more than TCS and has now some money started to shift from TCS to Infosys? And is this the market's way of sensing what could be happening with TCS's earnings? It could well be the case. I'm just saying that, going by what the market is doing over the last 2 days. If you see the Infosys stock and if you see the TCS stock, it's remarkably similar on the opposite side. I mean, it's you can superimpose these two charts on each other. So that's something that I'll be watching out for. But yes, the index is declining now. I think the pre-open gave you the wrong indication. The SGX was always telling you that we'll have open at 8640, and 8640 is what we have at this point in time. The key is where we go from here. Ashwini, so from opening tick itself, the Nifty has gone down 30 points. But would you carry forward the shorts, or would you book profit as well on the lower side?
See, as they say, abhi to party shuru hui hai.
Bears ke liye?
Of course, bulls have had their party. Now, this sort of, gap down means that now the momentum, the trigger has come. And now, what will take the market down is not selling. It will be, cutting off these long positions that people have been taking on from 85.50, hoping that, new highs will come, etc., etc. So chances are all that will get cleaned out.
Okay, actually, Ashwini, I was surprised by the target that you gave for your Nifty Bank. You had given a target of 19,310. I thought it should be taken in the first tick. We are at 19,190, 185 as I speak. You will still short it?
See, on a trend day, the market is likely to close at the lows of the session. And if we take a corresponding level to 8,200, that's about 17,200 to 17,500. See, it's very simple. We've made a double top. Now, that double top does not mean that the market will go back to 7,000. It will do a 50% correction. Bank Nifty rally started from 14,000. So the 50% is about 17,000, 17,500. Nifty started from 7,000. The 50% is 8,000, 8,200. So this will be a normal correction in the course of things, and will give a fresh opportunity for people to enter. And next time around, we will go to new highs.
Okay, now there is a fresh onslaught that you're seeing. So almost a 1% cut on the Sensex and the Nifty, and heavyweights like HDFC, Reliance and ICICI Bank are contributing to that on the downside. So Darshan, on these two stocks, HDFC and ICICI Bank, how would you trade them now?
Oh, both are still available for short selling. The chances are that this market is slowly sliding towards 85.50. If you've bought puts, the cost of the put is your stop loss. Don't panic if there are intraday rallies. And the large caps are now available for short sell, most of the banks.
Okay, actually your UPL is working beautifully. It was the biggest loser in the mid-cap space, the large mid-cap space, until Union Bank just took over the top slot as the loser in the CNX 100. Actually, that's the index I was watching. You will continue to remain negative on the stock. It hasn't reached your 630 target. Sudarshan.
Oh yeah, yes. UPL is now distributing, and the sense is that it's going to go much lower. A deeper correction is coming.
Okay, Mitesh,
your thoughts on the market opening, and any fresh ideas for now?
That's to me?
Yeah, Mitesh.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. See, I think clearly gap down, suggests that typically momentum should expand on the downside. So I would be clearly buying Nifty puts and Bank Nifty puts. I think Nifty puts of November 8600 would be a good idea. Bank Nifty 19,000 October puts would be a good idea. I think, as I said, if the Bank Nifty starts getting below 19,200, I think I'm looking for a quick decline to about 18,500, 600 zones.
Ashwini, what is your, for a positional short trade, what is the target on the Nifty and the Nifty Bank?
See, I would think that a positional target and reasons will follow is closer to 8200. We must do a test of the 200-day moving average before moving on. Enough examples are there. If you'd recall, we rallied from 2200 on the Nifty back to 6300. We made 6300 top in 2007, late 2007, came back to 2200, went to 6300, came back to 4500, and the third time we took 6300 out. This is a very similar pattern. We went from 5000 to 9000, came back to 7000, went back to 9000, and now we are going to correct 50% of the last rally. So that way 8000, 8200 will come, whether because of results, US election, rate hike, reasons can be any.
Okay, Sudarshan, I wanted to get your view in on whether this could be global led, because a lot of global investors are talking about an impending correction as well. On the S&P 500, what are you seeing on the charts? I mean, it's been hovering around 2200, but do you see big cuts there, and that could perhaps, have a snowball effect?
I didn't get your voice clearly, but I think you're asking about global stocks.
Yes, the global markets.
The S&P 500 itself is giving us signs that the highs are being, facing resistance. So if the downtrend that has started there continues, the downtrend could take it down another 10%. And that is what probably is affecting us.
Okay. Well, any fresh shorting candidates, Ashwini? Magma FinCorp has now moved to a 3% up downtick. Well, any fresh shorting candidates?
See, everything that's high flying can now get into trouble. So things like UPL, which have broken down. Also, at some point, you would look at shorting of Tata Communication, etc. whenever it tends to find trouble. But overall, try to look for opportunities where things are still outperforming, because finally the entire market has to correct. Even those stocks will correct. But today, overall, I think the weakest group seems to be media, which is ZTV, financials, PSU banks. These three appear to be the weakest.
Okay. And finally then, what's the intraday strategy now, Ashwini? At what point do you short again? The opening trade may have played out. Now do we wait for intraday rallies, or is right now also a good time?
See, given the way today has started, opening, you have a 0.8% gap down. You should try to, sell on any sort of rally. You will not get very fancy rallies, but any 2 or 3 bars on the upside would make you sell. So say any 50-point bounce back on Bank Nifty, any 20-point bounce back on the Nifty should be good enough point to sell.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much for taking us through the pre-market and the opening trades. Markets as expected and as predicted by the tech gurus has opened with almost a 0.7% cut. 8650, that very important support level for technical traders, has clearly been taken emphatically in the first few minutes of trade. Bank Nifty down 1%. So that's for the moment, for the day, for the near term. And now we can pull back our lens and zoom out for the medium term and where these markets are headed. Our market master for the morning